Julia, I am so glad you're here. Come in. I am super stressed about our stats project because we have to figure out what we're doing for our stats project, and then we have to do it, and then we have to analyze all the data, and we have all this data to analyze, and then we have to do a write-up, and then we have to make a video, and I am really have already too much stress in my life.
Calm down. You need a hug.
Thank you. That does help. But is it statistically significant? Everyone has stress. I have stress. You have stress. We have stress. And stress has been shown to lead to high blood pressure.
So what can we do to de-stress and decrease our blood pressure?
Because nobody wants a heart attack at age 40.
Hugs.
Hugs.
Our project is to test whether or not hugs from the people you love will help decrease your blood pressure.
For our experiment, we tested both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure is the pressure in your arteries as your heart contracts, while diastolic blood pressure is the pressure between beats. Our null hypothesis is that there is no difference between normal blood pressure or blood pressure while being hugged for systolic or diastolic blood pressure. Our alternative hypothesis is that blood pressure while being hugged is less than normal blood pressure for both systolic and for diastolic blood pressure.
For our project, we utilized this blood pressure cuff to test each subject twice for their blood pressure. Depending on whether or not they got a random integer of 1 or 2, utilizing the random integer function on the calculator, they either had their normal blood pressure taken first, and then their blood pressure while being hugged taken second if they got a 1, or if they got a 2 on the random integer generator, they had their blood pressure while hugged taken first, and then their normal blood pressure taken second. So, oh look, we got a 1. So that means we're going to show you how to take normal blood pressure first. So you just wrap that around the arm, and you push this magic button, and it takes your blood pressure. And then, after that, we wrote down the numbers that would appear on the screen.
We had participants wait for 1 minute between taking each blood pressure. For the second blood pressure, we had the participant be hugged by a friend for at least 10 seconds and then took the blood pressure.
Before we could conduct inference on our data, we had to check that the conditions were met. For our experiment, we kept the conditions of each blood pressure test the same. However, it was a convenient sample, so we should proceed with caution. For our one-sample t-test, we took the normal blood pressure and subtracted the hugging blood pressure to create this histogram. As you can see, it is unimodal and fairly normal with only a slight right skew. We did the same with the diastolic blood pressure, which is also unimodal but with a slight left skew.
To analyze our data, we used a one-sample t-test because we didn't know the standard deviation of the population, and we used a matched pairs experiment, so it was only one sample.
We tested each person's systolic and diastolic blood pressure. For our t-stat, for the systolic blood pressure, we got 0.1299 with a p-value of 0.4488. And for diastolic blood pressure, we got a t-stat of negative 0.5441 with a p-value of 0.7043.
We cannot reject either of our null hypotheses because neither of our p-values were significant at the 0.05 level.
This means that these results were likely to have occurred by chance.
We cannot conclude that hugs lead to a decrease in blood pressure.
If we could do the experiment over again, we would take a larger sample size, as our sample was 25, and we would also find students who already seemed very stressed before doing the experiment.